So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the FODDER investment you guys should be making for the up and coming Centurions promo. But before we do start this, if you guys are interested, I do offer a daily subscriber trading guide over on Twitch, which you can get for free with Amazon Prime. All you got to do is click on the top link in the description, and over here you got to go and subscribe. Again, it is free with Amazon Prime. If not, it's £5, €5 or $6. In there, you will get yourself daily updated trading guides with daily updated investments, daily updated trading data for both silvers and shadow cards. And yeah, we've had some, every day we just show you guys a new investment that worked well. So we have an investment, and this investment came from last Wednesday. We recommended to go and pick up Garnacho for 360 on console and 385 on the PC. You can see that is last Wednesday, so you can see right here, 350. Would have been very easy to go and pick them up for 360. And 385, maybe a little bit more difficult on PC, but would have been achievable. Well, since we've seen Garnacho go from 360 up to 440, and on PC he's gone from 385 up there to 445. I think another one we also had was Cherky, who we recommended buying at 265k last week. And as you can see, that would have been last Wednesday, so again, that would have been in the mints right here, 265, and he's risen from 265k up to 330, so just yet another investment that's gone well in the last week. So let's go and talk about the content we got in the last 24 hours, because they're just repeating the same stuff we've had last week. So the upgrade SBCs we went and picked ourselves up yesterday was the exact same thing. Now it's very weird because nearly every single leaker said that we were going to go and get the 85 plus RTK or Rush, which is obviously why in yesterday's video we said, alright, you're going to go and get yourself a Rush and RTK. But it was never added to the pack code. And because it was never added to the pack code, it was either then going to come out as a player pick, which seems very unlikely, or they were just not going to release it. And well, what happened is it wasn't released, and they just re-release what we had previously. So we got the exact same upgrade with the exact same requirements, despite something different being leaked. Now it's not necessarily bad for the market. I mean, Team of the Weeks, if I'm not wrong, discard Team of the Weeks went up a little bit. Everything else did kind of go down because it was underwhelming. For example, we can see 84s before the content were 3.5, then after the content went down to 3k. 85s before the content were 6.2, now they're down to 5.8. 87s really shouldn't have seen that much of a drop, but they went down from 10 to 9k, and 87s we saw go from 14, they're down to 13k. And finally 88s, for some reason, I don't know who was holding 88s gambling on a party bag SBC, but in all fairness, yeah, they're only down a k, which I guess is only 5%. So what do we make of this? We're not too surprised. It's 2 weeks in a row now where basically FODDER has gone and peaked on either the Sunday or the Monday, and then it's gone down every single day. This week was very unfortunate, literally no good SBCs as of the hero pack on the Sunday, but what it does is it does allow there to be a nice little investing opportunity. Again, we'll just talk a little bit about how the discard Team of the Weeks did yesterday before we go and start about the FODDER investing opportunity. We can see that discard Team of the Weeks yesterday, pre the SBC coming out was 16, and then they went and dropped down to 15. It's probably because the SBC just wasn't that interesting, so they're literally just repeating last week's content. If it was an 85 plus though, I would have expected them to go and have a bit of a rise. So let's go and talk about FODDER, eh? And let's first off talk about gold FODDER, because again, this is basically going to be an investment you're going to probably make when you're watching this video. So we can see that this is basically FODDER from the last week, right? This is this time last week, this is yesterday. So the cheapest time that we saw FODDER, especially 84s, because they had a bit to go down, was 11 AM. That was the cheapest time, and then subjective to what we've had, we can see they've done really well. So for example, 2 weeks ago they went from 2k all the way up there to 4.5k. This week the content wasn't too amazing, and it went from 2.5 up to 3.6. Now next week is anticipated to be a very good week for FODDER, and this is because we've got ourselves we're into an icon promo. Because we're into an icon promo, we're going to get icon SBCs, which should be semi-well demanded. There's also other SBCs, like, if I can go and find him, Darwin Núñez also leaked, which is quite interesting. But the main thing is that, one, we're going to go and get an icon SBC this Sunday, an icon pack SBC this Sunday. If you guys aren't aware, EA alternate between hero SBCs and icon SBCs. So right now we are in the week of a hero SBC, we can show you right there. But next week we're going to be in the week of an icon SBC. And FODDER traditionally performs better in the week of an icon SBC than it does the hero SBC. And the reason for that is because the hero SBC normally requires about half the price of the icon SBC. And because icon SBCs are double the price, it needs more FODDER, and therefore FODDER rises more. FODDER rises more, but the market drops more as well. Because people are selling players to buy more FODDER, which is why FODDER goes up, but players go down. So do be aware, I am anticipating basically a bit of a market crash between Friday to Sunday minimum, but I'll kind of cover more about the market crash in tomorrow's video. First thing I would say is if you do have meta cards, I do recommend selling them around about 8 to 10 PM today. If you want to gamble, you can go midday tomorrow, but I think it's a little bit risky because I think there'll be a bit more panic selling going into this week's promo than others because of it being the first icon promo. But back to SBC fodder. So yeah, fodder should be the cheapest either a few hours after div rivals, or if we go and actually look at something a little bit high rated, let's go and look at an 87, we can actually see that if we take off PC, these guys were actually the cheapest, I think it was exactly like 1 hour after div rivals. So you can see right there, 1 hour after div rivals the cheapest. It was cheapest 2 hours later, but he then did have a little bit of a rise, which is interesting. So I would basically say anything above and anything 85 and above, which is basically 85s, what we recommend is 85s, 86s and 87s with an outside of 88s. The reason 88s are an outside is because if we go and look at the return on investment on 86s, these did 8.5 up to 14.5, which has a percentage rise is looking at around about, come on, I mean, it's not quite doubling because doubling would be 19, but I mean, they're pretty up about 60%. But if we go and look at an 88, what did they do? They did 16 up there to 20, so they barely did about 30%. So you can see that percentage-wise, your highest ROI was on 80, I think it was on 85 and 6s, with 87s and 88s being a little bit less. But what I would go and say, I think 87s actually had a pretty decent rise. 87s almost up about 40% there. Is we might go and have, again, high rated fodder might do a bit better this week because the caliber of player SBCs should be ramped up. And I also think the demand on the higher tier players will be ramped up. On top of that, again, icon SBC, because it should be a better icon SBC, it can be more expensive, not guaranteed. Recent hero SBC, better pack, cheaper requirements. So that's one thing I would say. I do think if you're the most optimal, you go 85 to 86, but I think you can diversify at 84s all the way through to 87s. Again, we're expecting a week like this, not a week like this. The reason we saw a week like this, bad player SBCs and a hero SBC. The reason we saw a week like that, way more demanded player SBCs for the likes of Rafinha and probably other players. And then, more importantly, the icon SBC. Now, if we're looking at buying this fodder again, we're going to look at buying it anywhere from about 30 minutes after div rivals, and sometimes you did have a few hours to go and buy it. Fodder, if we don't get a well-demanded SBC on the Friday and Saturday, might be a little bit cheaper, but it's not worth panic selling over. But there is a gamble that we get well-demanded SBCs on the Friday with, icon SBCs obviously coming in this promo. And therefore, I think you want to go and buy on the Thursday morning rather than gambling that we don't get anything good on the Friday. You can also see at the moment fodder is actually cheaper than it was this time last week. And again, that's just due to it being demanded less, which means there's more supply on the market. So we're going to go and buy the fodder this morning, again, 30 minutes after div rivals. When are we going to go and sell it? Well, across the board last week, we can see the highest was basically Monday evening. You can see right there on the 87s. We can see right there on the 88s, Monday evening was the cheapest. We can see, most expensive. We can see right there the 86s, Monday evening was the most expensive. Same with 85s, Monday evening was the most expensive. And with 84s, they rose for longer. The reason they rose for longer is because they're needed for more upgrade SBCs. All the other ratings weren't needed for like the campaign bags and some of the cheaper SBCs. We actually saw these guys go and peak on the Wednesday. Now, if you want to go and sell them on the Monday, if you want to go and sell them on the Monday, honestly, you've still got a decent portion, but there's another like K to 1.5K if you were to wait a little bit longer, so more incentive to hold off on the low rated. So likewise with buying gold fodder, you can go and buy team of the week fodder. For example, we can see discard team weeks last week went from 11K up to 15.5. We can see 84 rated team of the weeks went from 13K to 17K. We can see that 85 rated team of the weeks went from 14.5 to 19K. We can see that 87 rated team of the weeks went from 24 up there to 29K. And yeah, they did pretty well. Obviously, the best money there was on discards through to 85s. We should see the exact same thing happening this week with the investments. Therefore, the investments that I recommend going and picking up are... Actually, let me just talk about the buy prices. The buy points on these cards, we can see that the discards were the cheapest around about a few hours after division rivals. The 84s were cheapest an hour after division rivals. The 85s were cheapest an hour after division rivals. The 86s were cheapest about 2 hours after division rivals. So your buy time is basically going to be an hour or two unless they're 86 or above, and maybe then you want to go and wait 3-4 hours. So the investments we're going to look at picking up are going to be Wilson, 1-2 hours after division rival rewards. Bier, if he's down to kind of fodder prices, which would be probably about 1 to 2k more than 83s, We'll look at buying him 1-2 hours after division rivals. Again, 85s we'll go and look at buying 1-2 hours after division rivals. 86s, maybe we go and wait 2-3 hours after division rivals, and that's about it. Reality is you don't have to go and buy those specific players. Biet is the only 84 rated, but other than that, you can just go and buy 83s, 85s, or 86s. It doesn't really matter. I'd say 83s to 85s probably a favourite to have the highest return on investment. For those that are interested in flipping the meta team of the weeks of this team of the week, obviously there's a few. We got Kirks, we got Kujani, we got Gokares, and we got Diar. Yeah, that's it. Well, last week they had quite unpredictable trends. Last week, the traditionally normally cheapest Barra ran about 9. They actually dropped all the way through to about 3 p.m. They did that across the board. You can see it happen there with Openda, then you can see it happen with Kante, and then you can see it happen with LaCroix. The rebounds, again, it was kind of quite unpredictable because we had different trends than normal. So you can gamble on the team of the weeks. I just wouldn't really advise it because I'd say, you know, we don't really know so much what's going to go and happen. Again, you can see we saw a bit of a rebound here on LaCroix, but it just wasn't great. The rebounds on Kante and Openda did basically occur until around about 10 p.m. They did have a rebound the following day, but I wouldn't want to gamble on it. Further, just go and sell them at 10 p.m. if you are going to go and gamble on the drop. Likewise, these Trailblazers didn't really have any flips, so just because, and as a result of last week not really having any flips, I wouldn't really look at flipping any of these cards. Here's a few examples. You can see Hemp, yes, did go down to 36, but you know, it was only up at around about 41, which wouldn't have really outperformed gold cards. You can see Robinson was down here at 114, only really rebounded up there to 122. And we can see Duran, even though he did pretty well, he went 16, and he got up there to around about 20 again. And this week's we're expected to perform worse because we're going into a new promo rather than just Team 1 going into Team 2, so I don't recommend flipping them. Cards I recommend flipping are gold cards who did very well last week. We haven't really had any well-demanded SBCs between last week and this week, meaning we don't expect to see people's teams change much, so whatever was demanded last week should do well this week. So cards are going to be looking at buying maybe an hour or two after Division Rival Awards. A card such as Kunde, we can again see right there he went from 61 all the way up there to, I mean, I don't even really look at flipping here. Went from 61 up to around about 70, and we can see that cards like Chiesa went from 35 all the way up here to around about 43. Again, you can gamble on the Friday, but I think there'll be way more panic selling this Friday than last Friday, just because of us going into an Icon promo rather than just going into the same promo, but Team 2. And I think that's about going to wrap it up again. I do expect to see a big old market crash between this Friday through to Sunday, but it potentially will crash for 2 weeks. We will talk more about the market crash in tomorrow's video, but that's going to go and wrap it up. We'll be live for Division Rival Awards, no tutorial video as well today, but thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow with a brand new video.